And there's not even play the music. Okay, that's enough. Enough. Hey, good morning. It's Spence. I was just talking to John Lawler. I've been overdue for my what I had promised originally to be daily updates, but I've been really negligent about it. But that's not something that I'm going to continue. I'm going to go back to what I said I was going to do. And today I want to bring you guys up to speed. It's not going to be a long live event. It's just going to be an update. And the reason is there's so much cool stuff happening. I've been just heads down. There's John. Hi, John. I've been heads down in building stuff, but there's so much stuff that I need to share. And I also want to point out that it's very likely that there might be some new media channel coming that allows me to more regularly do the AI stuff. But let me ease you into this. First of all, this week probably had 5 calls with new or prospective clients, everywhere from just a startup to a full-blown VIP. And what I learned from all of this is, number one, when you have a simple solution, especially with an AI solution that just does the stuff that people find awe-inspiring or wow, it doesn't require much to sell them, because essentially everybody who came on board just came in for a free call with a question and then left with a purchase or left with the intent to purchase. And in some cases, it was somebody that had literally just started with a simple question, walked out with the idea of doing a VIP. And the reason for that is simple. It's that instead of focusing on all the tools, all the human intermediary stuff, we just go right to what's your pain point? What can I do to solve your pain? Here's how I'm going to solve your pain. But unlike in the past, it wasn't, oh, I'll build something hypothetically in weeks and months. It's, let me show you on the screen how it works. All right. I don't have a format for today, but I want to introduce a couple things. First of all, there's some significant updates that I had made that are being pushed live. They're already there. So if we go to our dashboard, everybody who's using the MinuteLaunch software, it's worth noting, let me just zoom this out a bit. Let me share the screen too. Okay. John, if you're there and you can come and let me know if that's readable. I think it should be good. This is a live stream with no notice, so I don't think there's going to be that many people here live, but I'm more wanting to just record these daily right to YouTube. When you use MinuteLaunch, what's nice about it is that it's got the ability to basically load virtual software. So unlike the situation with LaunchKit or traditional plugins, these are acting like, feeling like, working like, thanks, John, working like, I noticed, by the way, that there was an update to StreamYard and my brand color has changed. Interesting. I'm distracted all the time by there's differences of stuff, but I just noticed they changed my brand colors. I'll have to go back to that. I'll make you minimalistic. There we go. Okay. Number 2 is that when it comes to, and let me just turn that off. Sorry. When it comes to updates, what's nice is right now you're still logging into MinuteLaunch Plugin Manager with your WP Launchify credentials. But Fernando and I discussed it, and we decided that what we're going to do is probably make a modern token system. That is to say that for the launch kit, which again uses the same metaphor of logging in, as well as for MinuteLaunch, we're going to integrate them into one system, and they're going to have a much simpler setup where you just put your email and then you're going to have a short token. A token is not the same as a license key in my mind, even though it's technically the same. A license key is one of these a million digits, impossible to remember. A token is going to be 5 digits, 6 digits. And the reason for that, it's kind of more like memorizing your PIN number for your iPhone or for your ATM or something like that. If you have your email and you have your token, that'll be enough to get in for you and your clients to check against your credentials. And I think that's the way I'm going to solve making this simpler, so you'll have one system. I do really love the way that this works, though, because if I, for example, today have an update, if I push the update to GitHub, where this is distributed from, it actually will load it for everybody. And right now, I still have it where you just go and fetch your latest things. But for most people, it can have a banner, or it can be set to automatically do that in the future, which means that you're not going to have to worry about software anymore. And I'm going to probably apply this to the Launch Kit as well for whatever plugins that are left after I'm done with all this from the traditional realm. All right, let's talk about some basic updates. First of all, I've spent a lot of time and really enjoying the the MinuteLaunch image editor. I have a lot of updates, but the image editor has received a new update that makes it super duper fun and friendly to use on mobile. Plus, I've integrated it with the REST API into a bunch of the other plugins, as I'm going to show you in a second, like MinuteLaunch Remodeler. And in doing so, it means that you have a much friendlier interface. So let me show you real quick. If we go into the image editor, and this is what generates images with Google Gemini Flash 2.5. You now, besides having this set up, you now have an option here to create a page or set a page or use a short code. And that means that you can have a user-friendly front end. So for example, add a page. Let's just do this together because it's so simple. And we'll just call it AI images. Now, I could put the shortcode here, but I don't even need to do that. I can also set this page up with Spence style to be fancier. But what I like to do is I'm just disabling the header, footer, all this stuff. So it's 100% focused on just being this thing. Actually, I'll leave the header and footer on just so you guys have a sense of where you're at. Okay, now when I do that, if I go back over here and I refresh the page, I can choose the AI page to show this really friendly front end. By the way, this also will work with the MinuteLaunch interface that makes a mobile friendly, like almost an iPhone situation. Click the button. And now here's what's cool. Obviously, we still have the header, but this is the kind of thing that on a mobile phone, let's use our mobile phone simulator, makes it super fun and easy for you to just hold your phone up and talk to it and tell it what you want it to make. Let's do one together, shall we? So let me turn off this simulator. Okay, here's the neat thing also. I've also improved the reference images. So notice you could choose one or more images from the reference library, or you can add external images. And it's really, really pretty good. I'm going to go on a limb here. Usually, I want to say something. Usually, the image generation is very bad with things like words, but I'm going to go on a limb here and just show you as a reference library. You can also change the aspect ratio. For example, this is a YouTube thumbnail that I made some time ago. If I want to change it to a square or vertical to use in a different format, super easy. Like if I want to go on the Insta. Let's see here how we do. I also added this, I'm still working on, but improve your prompt with AI. If you just don't know what to do or say, you could say change man to woman and then improve the prompt so that the AI will fill in all of the gory details to make it a better result. Let's try something. Take the guy in the reference library and put some big sunglasses and a big Fu Manchu mustache on him, and then change the words that say made easy into made wow. That's a big ask. Let's make sure, by the way, we say, be sure to keep everything else in the reference image the same. Now, making these prompts, you could go and improve it with the AI suggestions. I'm working on this because right now I'm having it give you like 3 suggestions based upon what you told it. And they're interesting, right? So like generate a digital illustration of a male figure in a reference library wearing oversized. Let's just try this together, see what the heck happens. I'll save this in case we need to use it. I won't use these right now, but let's just close that toggle and let's see what happens. What I've liked about this is this opens up a whole wealth of other possibilities because this is enabled to work with the WP Claude, which means Claude can do the same thing. But it's the kind of thing on mobile that I've had endless fun with my friends and family and out on dates and stuff like that. You could just make us in the 1920s Humphrey Bogart movie, you know, and you put the 2 of you in there and you're doing crazy stuff. Because you can also take things like, here's Spence, here's I don't know, a hockey uniform. Put Spence in the hockey uniform. Make him on the Chicago Blackhawks. Anything is easy and possible with this. And it doesn't require that many complex tools, which is what I was really ultimately wanting. I want something that's mobile friendly. By the way, if you're thinking about it, this interface is not accessible to everybody. This is only accessible to you if you're authorized to upload media, which would probably be only the administrator or the editor. I can't make it go faster, but Google Gemini Flash, usually 30 seconds to a minute. Now, in the meantime, what happens when it's done is it will show you the results, but it goes in your media library, and I included in it AI intelligent retitling. So it retitles it instead of on your prompt, whatever it is that you made, but it leaves in the description the important part, which is the provenance, what was the prompt. And I'm going to sometimes this happens, but I'm just going to check in case the soup is ready and something on my using the StreamYard is made. Oh, this is what happens sometimes. Sometimes when I'm doing StreamYard, it screws up the JavaScript on my screen. So it actually made the image. Let's see what it did. Installing Cadence starter templates made. Wow. It did everything I wanted except in the, and I'm not 100% sure about this, it kept it as a square. So that might be interestingly something that I need to tweak, but let's just try it again. Let's see in case I blew that. Turn this into landscape 16 by 9. Now I'm pretty sure, and again, sometimes that doesn't work. I'm pretty sure that my coding worked out. Let's do big red sunglasses. And what happens is the aspect ratio changes this from, let's say, 16:9 to a square or something. I think maybe I just accidentally blew it, or maybe there's something in my code, but you get the idea. It can do both of them, and it does it really well. And most of the time when I'm not using StreamYard, it just really quickly pops up and it's good to go. All right, next. While that is baking, let me show you something that came from one of my business associates clients that I'm doing as an opportunity. This one is really fascinating to me. It's based upon using the same image engine and everything else that we've got here with the image editor. But this one I'm calling, what am I calling it? MinuteLaunch Remodeler. And I got to pull up I'm going to pull up another website into the browser so I don't have to change browsers. That's always annoying, right? Okay, what is MinuteLaunch Remodeler? MinuteLaunch Remodeler is based on the idea. I used to build custom houses for a living. I've got a huge audience of contractors and friends who are in that business, who are just, they're too busy to take leads. But with today's technology, how cool would it be if in order to get a lead, they could say to their client, look, I can remodel your kitchen, your bath, your floors, your TV room, anything in your house. What if we gave them a tool that acts as a lead generator that takes the lead, gives them something super huge and valuable in order to get them to give the email and phone number, and then in exchange also sets up the contractor for the success of sending them something valuable. And here's how this works. This has similar settings where you can set for any particular client, or your Claude can set the various things that it says on the first, second, and third pages. You can also have it create an existing page or an automatic endpoint for remodeling quote. And let me see if this actually is live on this page, or if it's, no, this one isn't set up. Let me go to a page that I set up. And you can put in all the other things so that it's really easy enough for your mother to do. And I'm going to go here just because I had already set these up, and I'm going to use the page that I've got. Okay, so here's where I've got it set up. And again, this is mobile friendly. So if I was on my iPhone and stuff, it's set up to work that way. You essentially have all the top stuff, which is easy enough for anybody or Claude using Spence style to just, this is a landing page. Get a free AI-powered visualization of remodeling. Okay, we put a photo in. In this case, let's just use something that I had on my desktop, which is like a living room. But you can also use the tools on your phone. So what I was doing the other day is I was just at this tech event, this AI for Nerds event, and I was taking pictures of the room. They go, next step, what kind of room is it? And again, these are for just helping to answer. Let's change, so we're going to say we're going to repaint the walls and the flooring, right? Budget range, maybe $5 grand. Now here's the fun part. You're going to say, Turn the walls into a dark umber brown color. Add some vintage light fixtures. Remove the ceiling fixture. Get rid of the couch and get rid of the carpeting, and instead put in a dark, almost charcoal black colored oak flooring. Make the room look really super warm and inviting. Okay, that's kind of stuff anybody can ask for because the AI is going to interpret it. Now, the person puts in their personal contact information, right? So we're going to say Tony@llama.com. And we're going to do some fake number, but these would be contact informations for the person. And then the address field, I'm probably going to get rid of. I feel like I don't think we need that. It might be useful to keep it, but right now it's annoying to me because when I'm on the iPhone, what happens is everything else autofills. The property address, that doesn't autofill. So if I change that to address, maybe that'll be nicer, because on the phone, you can just go bing, 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 and it autofills the whole form, which is super convenient. So similar to the regular MinuteLaunch media editor, this one just takes the image, and I'm working on the speed of this. I'm going to probably make it capture it and then do it in the background, but maybe a couple seconds for it just to upload that gigantic image. And then it comes up with, again, the results page to tell somebody something wonderful is happening. Something's coming your way, right? So request received, and these will be filled with something relevant that either gray ghost or whatever. Maybe I'll just put sample images. But here's what happens. On the back end, the image comes in using the very same API. It goes into the media library. And so here's our start. And then what happens is it turns it into the finished according to what was asked for. So remember I said, get rid of the carpet and get rid of the couch, put in dark, almost chocolate wood floors, burnt umber walls, vintage light fixtures. Ta-da, really super cool. So it takes the before and the after images, and then it's added the person who submitted as a contact so that the contractor as a service, here's Tony, is in the system and ready to be having this information sent to. Now, some questions I have, because I just invented this literally yesterday between getting ready to go out to this event and going to the event. I swear to God. I'm probably going to do some things to optimize this. So for example, the contractor can review it and maybe have an immediate way to give a quote, or maybe it'll be a ballpark quote. But the basic idea is it's really super easy to take a lead, take some information, store it in the CRM. The CRM then sends out the emails. The emails could be curated and so forth. Okay, here's another one. I just recently got an award from Fathom. I mentioned this before. And this morning, somebody actually gave me some gamification points. But I use this all the time. And I look at all my bonus points. I'm going crazy. They're going to send me to Vegas soon. The problem is, when I do when I do Fathom, I want that data at my disposal. So thank God they came out with an API yesterday. And I immediately built the next tool, which is MinuteLaunch Fathom. And this is for my own selfish reasons, but oh my gosh, if you don't use Fathom, it's crazy cool. Now, I want to also tell you a secret. I'm doing these live events on YouTube with StreamYard. I might just start doing them on Fathom, because if I do it on Fathom, the AI is there to just take the transcript, and then all of that stuff is available. So it's a really neat tool, whether you're doing a meeting or whether you're using it yourself. But here's what Fathom Call does. You basically connect it to your Fathom with the API key. You can set up a sync schedule. I added Open Router along with an AI model to help me post facto improve the things that it takes from the information. Next, here's a bunch of my calls. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 calls in the last 2 days. If I go, I don't think I'm doing anything wrong here. Let's go into one of these calls. It gives me the access to, for example, if I want, you can't see this, but it's popping up the video in another window. Not here. Let me see if I can open that. I can't really pop this open in the same tab, because one of the things this does is it honors the cross-site scripting problems, and it pops a new window up, and I'm not going to bother showing you, but just trust me, it shows the same Fathom video that I just was mentioning. I could copy the share link to give it, again, through my CRM to somebody else. But here's the neat thing. Here's the transcript, and here's the already existing AI summary that came from Fathom. But I can go ahead and ask more questions, right? So I could go like, hey, what was the number one takeaway from this meeting? Was the client happy or interested? Tell me. Things that I might want to know about this, I can further refine by asking whichever AI model I've associated. And then it gives me the details that are shared and saved here to my Fluent CRM. So this individual, Namfundo actually, she has a entry in my Fluent CRM. I can refine the things that came from the call, take out what I want, right? And then turn that into an action step or decision. I can put it into my CRM. I can use these pre-made ones like pain points, objections. These are ones that came, if you use them and I don't, from Fathom, but they ask sort of specific questions like what kind of pain points or problems. Either way, the bottom line is now I have a custom post type in my site of all my calls, and that data is available for my AI, for me to use, reuse, to refine, and so forth. And this is the promise of doing this private box. I can now take all of my bits and bobs and put them together. Now, with Namfundo, her and her partner were really impressed when I showed her live some of Claude's capability. That's why I use it in all my demos to generate stuff. Here's another interesting thing that came about. One of my better clients, Adam, is very technical, and he was using Spence style for building a bunch of stuff. And he actually came up with a couple pain points that I'm going to point out. I memorialized here for all of you guys to use. He came up with the idea that unfortunately it turned out that the editing of Spence style was sort of like all or one. In other words, it could edit anything in the HTML box or the CSS box, but it couldn't just surgically take out a word. I didn't know that. Nobody knows that until you start trying it, but he was nice enough to share that with me. And so what I did is I used the same tools to do two things. First of all, I did an update this morning, which let me double check. That's what we're talking about. Version 6.21 of the Spence style, which you can see the version numbers here, has the new tool called Spence Edit. So this is up to date. And then I'm looking at my other notes here. If I look at WP Claude, that has version 7.017. So he hasn't pushed that yet. I'm going to ask him to push it. I haven't tested yet. I'll wait till after the show to test it. But then he's going to push that up. So the point is there's going to be a new tool that if you're using Spence style, you can tell him, replace this word with that word. Now, why is that relevant? Because some of the things that revealed themselves today or this week were very interesting. Many of my clients had just a ton of junk left over from using old-fashioned tools like even LearnDash. So Adam and other people who are using old content have been struggling with, like, how can I go and take all that heavy-duty junk stuff and reformulate it? And so here's what I found interesting. Using Spence style and WP Claude, I was able to take, let's say, this client here has 26 LearnDash lessons that were sliced and diced along with separate video files, sliced and diced with ACF, sliced and diced with BuddyBus. It had like 15 parts to put together one lesson. We came up with the idea that why not just put it all on a single page with 2 blocks of text. It has HTML and CSS, and the rest is all dynamic. And I'll be damned, it works fantastic. Now, don't get too enamored with the look and feel because I haven't done anything. But my point is, this is a full course on a single page with 2 blocks of content, a little HTML with some JavaScript and CSS. And it's the whole deal. It's got all the cool stuff that you would want and need with toggles and everything. This thing is like a bento box for all that complicated LearnDash stuff. I was going to say BS, but LearnDash is a great product, but it's from another world. So Claude extricated out all of the data. Instead of the data being heavy, it's very light. All the data with the content, the links, the toggling effects, all this is one single page under the hood, just two boxes of text. It works great, feels great, looks great. Claude can edit it. Claude can change it. We can add new features. I decided to build another extension. I haven't finished it, called MinuteLaunch Courses. Now, it's not dedicated to me trying to be courses. It's just that when we're working with these new tools, we don't need the old metaphors sometimes. Let me give you another example. One of my other really wonderful clients, Neil. Neil has a site that we had converted called Portal to Ascension. Then just amazing business, amazing customers. His existing website, which is this I'm going to try to load, either doesn't load or it crashes 4 times a month. And it was built with old-fashioned stuff. And basically it's videos and memberships and events, okay? When we were talking, he and I looked at something and I suggested, hey, Neil, why don't we look at something like this, the Calm app, because it's really popular and it's basically very friendly for mobile. And you noticed it has very few controls and so forth. And I said, I bet you we can get your data that we just rebuilt and put it into the same idea as the single page course, which is what we did. This is still experimental. I did this again in about 7 to 10 minutes. I created what I'm going to call a working demonstrable version of his content, looking and acting like the Calm app. And this is mobile friendly. Again, I haven't done anything here to like work out the details, but it's responsive. You know how this works. And the point I'm saying is that when you accept, and I think it requires a mental state, when you accept that we all got where we were by going to the Home Depot, buying shovels and digging holes, but now we don't need to. We have 3D printers. You can take the data that's stored under the hood and instantly tell your Claude to build something that looks, feels, acts as you want it to. And then in the future, Claude is going to use Spence style or otherwise to keep track of that and make awesome stuff. Now, the place that was the holy grail, which I've also advanced on, is this. Here's WP Launchify. The top panel was made with cadence and a million iterations of trying. I've always wanted the idea that if I could give Fernando or Claudio a website or a page, they could just go pixel for pixel, duplicate it. And it's been a struggle. But what I discovered was by giving them vision, by using the Chrome developer tools with an MCP and some logic that I'm going to share with you, I was able to finally achieve the Holy Grail. And here's what I've got. I'm going to show you what I did yesterday. I'm really proud of this because this is going to change everything. All those legacy sites that were built with Beaver Builder and Divi and Elementor and God knows what, even Cadence, instead of fighting upstream of having them figure out how to unbake the souffle of Gutenberg or whatever page builder, all they need to do is just go to the end result. So for example, this is Fernando. This is Fernando's version of this. Now, you have to forgive. I'm just going to give him the benefit that I'm going to hide with the inspector that top bar so it doesn't bounce so much. I'll just say display none. Okay, I'm doing that because on top negative 50 pixels. I want you to see this without it bouncing. I don't know what to do. I was trying to get rid of that thing at the top, but that just makes it look worse. So whenever we put the admin bar in, it just has that little doodad at the top. So ignoring the bounce of the admin bar. That's the original. That's his copy. That son of a gun actually did it. Pixel for pixel. It took a few attempts, but he even was able to do things like, I'm not saying they're 100% functional, but these are actual links. So even the navigation possible. When I go back over to that course for this client, I asked it to do for me an index page, which I'm not saying this is perfect. This still probably needs some work, but this was done without any intervention by me. Hold on. I noticed that the page ID is wrong. Let me get the page. What's interesting to me is it was able to do it in a way that it took all of the content it created on separate pages. And it was essentially saying like, here you go. Here's an index of it. Would you like me to do this another way? And I can add faceted search. It could do blah, blah, blah. And that to me is fascinating because it really eliminates the need for a lot of tools. I mean, if you think about it, we don't need all of those permalink tools and the navigation tools if everything can be done automatically. Now, I've done no styling here, but look, it's the whole course library ready to go. And here's this food forest where I was experimenting with, like, what if you put the featured image behind the video, right? I mean, the look and feel in this. So these are remarkable things. And I've also in MinuteLaunch come up with this, which is I'm going to start giving you guys guides that you can use with your Claudes. So for example, here's a pixel perfect guide. I'll give you this in the show note links of this thing. This is something you can give this to your Claude and say, hey, as a rule, before you start, here's all the ways to achieve pixel perfect copying of a site. And it just goes into things that my Claude discovered. And at the bottom of the site or of this page, there's a very friendly version that you can just copy and paste and feed in as a prompt, or just give it the URL of this page. All right. There's a couple other doodads that I want to talk about. Let's talk about the business model in general that's come from all of this. When I was doing my Fathom calls this week, I discovered that many of the things that we've already got are enough, because what I'm doing is actually using the tools live in a call. So whether you're building something for yourself or building for somebody else, what I found is that actually turning on, like I literally went into MinuteLaunch and did a live call, turning on the live tools and using them is the greatest thing ever, because all of the things that it can create could be useful for actually selling the client. And I don't want to out this particular client, but like one of the clients had some questions and things that they were having a trouble with in their business. And I was able to demonstrate the dynamic capability of Claude and these tools to not only make content and courses and lessons, but even dynamic dashboards. So look here for one of these things. Here's the dashboard. So we took some metrics, and this was like for something that they were going to be doing. I'm going to scroll up there so you can see it. They were going to be doing something that was very manual lead generation. I created a dynamic lead generation checklist tool that was connected to everything. I did it live. And then this replaced about 4 or 5 traditional WordPress tools like Gravity Forms and ACF and stuff that was like sneaker netted, and turned it into something that instantly they saw their whole solution. And then I also created content like their logos or a simulation of their office space with them talking to clients, even stuff like, yay, you know, this is the kind of crazy madness that we can now do. But because it all exists and connects to the system that you've got in this box, it was easy for me to have Claude write a proposal and an email letter, which I then sent off as part of my pitch, right? So this is the boring version of it. But then I also did, you know, you see me do dynamic versions of it. And here's a VIP proposal, right? So this is like the image that I had him create, and it just made a executive summary, 1,217% return on investment if you guys get on board with the MinuteLaunch and the VIP. And that's the kind of stuff that you guys could be doing for your business as well, because as we know, when we get connected and he has all the right tools, your Claude can basically create anything at any time. I have a lot of other stuff to show and share, but what I'm planning on doing today is I'm going to finish up a couple of these. This is fun. That was longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be 3 to 5 minutes. Sorry, it's 34 minutes. I'm going to finish up a couple of the things that I'm working on. So these new tools, like the new version of Claude, WP Claude, super huge. Getting the video. Oh, that's one thing I want to experiment. I want to get the video online. Now we've got MinuteLaunch Video, which is the AI video creation. But John Lawler, who is again my man in Damascus, told me about the new Veo 3.1. I have not checked this out yet, but this enables full scripting and stuff. So let's give a look over here together. I don't know what I'm going to find here, but let's see if I can get in. Hold on. That's a drag. One of these should get me in here, right? You'd think I'd have my own password in here. Hold on, let me try one more time. One of the things I love about Google is how much stuff they have. One of the things I hate about Google is they log me out sometimes, and that I got to go do stuff like this. I'm going to just really quickly get in here with the Gmail app. And what I want to do is I want to see if this is available for me to use, because this was something that, come on, kick in. Resend it. Oh, here it comes. Yes, this is me. Let's see if I get in. Come on, Google, let me in. I'm live, baby. I'll try one more time. Here we go. Here's the new one. Yes, it's me. Okay. One of the things that is fascinating to me is they throw everything at you, but they make it infinitely hard. So even with this stuff, this new tool, too much. I don't know what's going on. Just too much. Every time I get in here, it's like, what is happening? Okay. I am signed in with Google. I just signed in with Google. Now I'm in with Google. All right. So let's see if this lets me do this thing. And by the way, I'm not sharing properly. So why is, oh, it went into another screen. Hold on. Let me grab that. Okay. So here I am. Having to sign in again. For some reason, it opened another screen. What a drag. Spencer Foreman. Sorry for the delay on my rapid live video. Okay. Let's see if we got the new thing. New project. It's Veo 3.1. I do not know about these timeline tools. I just saw a video this morning. So let's see what my options are. Frames to video, ingredients to video. I'm going to look it up. Hold on. Veo. John, type in here the link if you have it. But Veo 3.1 features. Let's see if they're available. I don't know where the controls are, but what this is going to allow us to do, and I'm going to build the tools out for a MinuteLaunch video, is to add ingredients like I was going to do myself before. Oh, here's the character, here's the background, here's the props. Control the video like a starting and an ending point. What I'm not sure of is if this is live or how I do it. So, oh. John, is this live? Do you know? I don't see anything that indicates there's, oh, here, ingredients. Let's just see. I don't know. I know before it wouldn't let me do stuff. So let's just see, for example, if I upload that picture from the other thing we were doing, the living room. Okay, we'll do landscape mode. And let's take Spence, because it'll allow me to do me. And I'm going to add myself as an ingredient. Let's see. I feel like an ingredient. Okay, I'm going to say, hey, take this man and have him walk into the scene and sit down on this couch and wave to everybody and say, hey, everybody, it's Spence. Now, one of the things is there was these versions of this that have an API of Veo 3. Whatever, fast, slow, 2.0. Before, with the audio, you couldn't do much. Let's just see if this makes the audio. Before, it was like, maybe not. We're going to do one output. We'll give it a try. Let's see what happens. Looks like it's working. So that's actually encouraging, because before I couldn't even do this. I had to go to their Veo 2.0 or some nonsense. So what this is allowing you to do is I'm going to have an API in MinuteLaunch Video that's going to be connected to your Claude and allow you to create this stuff from inside of your WordPress environment. But now you can make scenes. Like, for example, you can have not just a clip, but you can have a background, and then this guy goes into it. And then when it's done, you can have not just an 8-second clip, but you can clip it together and make a much longer scene. And I think that's going to be remarkable to our bigger picture. Although I don't find that a lot of my clients need or care about the video. I think where the video is going to become important is because Sora came out this week. Sora, while they're working on that, Sora blew me away. Blew me away. And I think that's why Google's is like, release the Kraken. So with Sora, you do it on an iPhone or desktop. I don't release my videos publicly, but Sora was like, screw it. Everybody gets everything. And so and by the most unfortunate slop in the world, when you start using this on phone or other, you'll just scroll for 1,000,000 hours at everybody's slop. But the reason it's slop is because it's so crazy addictive. For example, here's Spence is the DJ. Time now 6:17. That wasn't really me. Here's me at an Italian restaurant making a proposal you can't refuse. There's me as a rock star, which of course is real. This super duper duper fun. A little bit less controlled, more on the sloppy side, but still, oh my God. Now, real popular things like, I mean, this was amazing. It made like, I'm a pilot. I thought this was so much fun. It took 3 seconds of me talking and just turning my head, and that's all it needed to make this kind of output. The videos can be downloaded. Now, I'm not sure if Sora has the API. I'll be setting up a tool for that, of course. But what I'm getting at is between Sora and the ability to make, for example, here's one that I might be professionally. Here's me at a tech conference. The future's MinuteLaunch. Yeah, of course I was at that conference, right? This is the slop that we're all going to have to deal with. But the point is, it's so awesome that we now have a tool that we can make it, acquire it, use it, repurpose it, put it in our CRM. Let's see what came up of this one. There I am. First of all, that is weird as shit because that's not what my face doesn't look like, and that's not my voice. But it can make the video and I can use a different voice like my 11 Labs voice. So it's really me. And even though people who know me know my mouth doesn't move like that, and I'm in way better shape than this dude, sorry. But this is amazing. It took the picture. I'm in the scene and now I'm sitting on the couch. And now I can make 3, 4, 5 clips, put it together. These can be obviously saved and stored inside of MinuteLaunch and or used for things like creating your advertorials or webinars and stuff. Now, I'm actually live. This is really me, but you can imagine how quickly this can evolve into more slop, right? So, John, thank you for this tool. There was other things that this did that I'm going to have to play with, but one of the things that I thought was fascinating, and I'm not sure if it's here, was that it allowed you to post to social, but it also allowed you to go into the studio. So they had a tool that was pretty good. I think it was Flow Video Editor. I'm not sure what they call it. I get so lost here with Google. Google's problem, so much stuff, don't have any idea where to find it. I got to go like videos.google. I have no idea. No. Google Video Editor. Google Vids. You would think at some point somebody over there would figure out like, let's put everything in one spot. Right? I mean, it's a dream come true. Never going to happen. But Google Vids, I'm not going to log into another thing. Google Vids is what allows you to edit this for free. And it's really quite powerful. So actually, I'm going to be forced to do this. I hate that I have to log into another thing. Thank you, Google. Oh, it logged me in. Thank goodness. Okay, so watch this. So this also has this built in, which is kind of neat. but it also acts as a poor person's editor. It does a really good job, right? So I can insert or upload or generate an image or generate an AI clip. And instead of having a desktop editor or something, I can do the same thing here. And look, they've got Veo 3.1. So that's super sweet. And I think you can even do what we just talked about, which would be, hopefully adding stuff in there. What I don't see possible with this is I don't see the possibility, because it's a simpler version of it, of adding, the reference image of the dude. But that's okay, because you could just upload the videos to here after you've created them elsewhere, which I think is where this is all going. Also, this has a nice script setup. So you can take something and just have the videos made and fill in the script. And this is the tool that I would say, if you don't want to do anything more complex, is perfect, because as soon as you figure out where to log into it, it's awesome, because it's all connected to Google. And I think that's what they're going for. They're going for we're just going to throw every possible tool at you in the world. And if you start using this for yourself or your clients, I think you can easily use this as the container to manage a lot of that multimedia instead of going to bunny.net or something like that. We'll see, because what I'm not sure about is once it's done, I think this stores the end products probably to your Google library, right? Like you have Google Cloud Storage, right? Let's see where it says here. Export to Drive. Yeah, your Google Drive. So, all right, I think that's enough for today. I'm experimenting with this format because there's so much to do, so much to say. Basically, though, that I'm suggesting I am achieving really good results, both from the technological standpoint for you guys to have as tools, but also from the business standpoint of actually meeting with, seeing clients, selling, and sharing, and everything being mobile friendly and simplified. My vision is that you guys all jump on board, and we're going to start abandoning and removing and replacing a lot of the tools, including for sure the intermediary layer, but getting down the road even more so, getting into the heart of it. I think the last tools to go, maybe will never go. WooCommerce not going anywhere. Today or yesterday, Fluent Cart was released. I love the WP Managed Ninja teams. I think they're smart as a button. God bless them for coming out with another product. I don't see any need to abandon WooCommerce. It is a fixture of everything that I do and my clients do, and it's got millions of people working on it for years. So I don't feel like I want to go abandoning that yet. But ACF, bye-bye. Affiliate WP, I got your number. You're on the blocks. Even Cadence as a theme, as a framework underneath, as a whiteboard, yes. But like most of the features that it does, I'm finding here not likely to need it. John's asking, do you have a list of plugins to work? Well, what I'm suggesting to you is going to happen, because that's where I was leading with all of this, is I've got an executive plan, and it's, MinuteLaunch has got it sort of scattered across pages. But what my plan is to take the one MinuteLaunch plugin, free download. It doesn't do shit. It's just a client. You then get a subscription for yourself or your customer. And through the site that you have MinuteLaunch on, and by the way, when I say MinuteLaunch, you're not going to download it like to use it. It's going to be on one of the hosted sites. I want everybody to be hosted through me in this rocket, because the same security things I talked about in the last webinar. I don't want to be distributing my client software and have people end up like doing some pseudo version of this that they hack the hell out of it. Because one of the problems of all this amazing power is like WP Claude MCP. If you do a DXT file and you leave it laying around, somebody's got the whole keys to your whole website. That's it. It's over. And I am not prepared to say, oh, let's just hand this out, something that generates this kind of power. And then somebody thinks it's coming from Spence and it takes away their whole life. I don't want to do that. But what I am saying is, with the MinuteLaunch hosted as a client, this virtual delivery system, these look and act and feel like plugins, but they're not. They're really dynamic one-page sites. The plugins that are essential today are here. This is a good news, John. Every single thing that I've done, shown, shared, made, created has been done with these 4 that you already have. And they're all live updated. Today, you're going to get the Spence editor update. MinuteLaunch Claude, which connects to Claude Desktop. Image editor, Media Hub P2P, and Spence Style. That's it. Now, there are going to be more tools added to Claude. For example, I already have on the books my specialized Fluent CRM tools because he's got specialized tools for WooCommerce. I need some special tools for a lot of those legacy plugins to say bye-bye. The tools that I'm adding, like I suggested, are going to be useful, fun, esoteric. Maybe they're business models, but things like Fathom, MinuteLaunch Fathom, for sure that's going to be included in the stack because everybody should be using Fathom, and I want to make this tool useful. Some of the tools that have not yet been put into this live updater will be things like the interface, the mobile interface, things like the research tool, things that like we talked about where you instantly have input from the customer and convert inputs from them about what they say, feel, do, so forth. All of those kind of tools will make it up here. But just to know, this is enough because when you're using your Claude desktop or whether you're using the internal chat, you can instantly make anything. And that's the part that's really blown me away because I've done so much this week with live clients, like I showed you a few examples of just make a live application while we're having this conversation. All right, this has been fun. I'm not sure if this format is super effective, but it is fun for me to keep you guys up to date. And what I am trying to do, I promise you, is I've got 4 or 5 clients that were left over from the transitional phase. My new clients coming in have the new systems, new metaphors, so it's much more efficient. I am trying to get as many people on board as possible to use the $97 a month system for themselves or for their clients. And then from there, either self-help, hours of help, or VIP so that we could just get the results, which is now built primarily and intentionally to use the AI first. Because here's the last thing I'll say. When I was speaking to this very lovely entrepreneur, Nomfundo, yesterday, she was asking questions like, is there documentation? Where would I learn about this? And I had to have a conversation that I've had with Anne in the past and you guys publicly, which was, I have to continually update documentation every day, and it's impossible for me to do. I do badly. Now I never have to make documentation at all because Claude can be primed from my end with the information like I showed you, like the Spence style pixel perfect recipe book, so that he just knows if you ask him a question, let me look at the information. I know exactly what to tell you. And I think it's sort of weird that the tool is going to be helping the person who's using the tool to understand the tool better, but that means it's amazing for everybody. And I think at the end of the day, that is going to achieve some really remarkable results for us, in addition to being able to make, I think, fun stuff that actually does jobs. Like I showed you today, you take the fun capability of the image editor, you put it together with like the lead generation, and you're good. I'm trying to think what you mean by what are you thinking of doing with the Claude artifacts? Oh, I think what you're asking, which is interesting, is that when you're, I got to switch to doing Claude, but let me show you. I'll do Claude in a window. If you're using Claude desktop or Claude browser based, by the way, I want to tell you something. I've been experimenting with this beta, which is the Claude extension. This is actually really good for something, but not as effective as doing the Claude desktop. Here's why. Watch what happens. If I go to WP Launchify, and I wouldn't use Haiku for this, I would probably use Sonnet, but let's just make it quick. I can just say, hey, can you see my website? Now, he doesn't need special Chrome developer tools because he's already got them. He's got his own versions of them. But it's actually quite effective because I'm going to show you why with the artifacts. This version, the little sidebar, can't make artifacts. But look, it can tell you everything about a page. And look, it took a screenshot. That's awesome. That actually has super utility. I mean, just ask yourself this. Just the fact, like, what a pain in the ass it is to take a screenshot of stuff, right? Now you got a buddy here who does this. Now, I can ask him, and he'll, I think, know the answer. Hey, can you identify the color palette of this website and list out all the colors on this page for me in hex? These are the kind of things that, oh my God, what a pain in the ass to do, right? I think prompt is too long. I've exceeded my prompt. I'm not sure what to do about that because that seems to be the burden of Anthropic right now. Everything is like little tiny chats. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Let me see. If I go, it's a beta, so I can't be too complaining. But let's see if I just refresh the page or something. Let's refresh the page and pretend I just came back here. I don't know what's up with that. I think they're just keeping it really short and sweet because it's an experiment. But let's say the same question on a new prompt. Connection error. It is really beta. Okay, so I don't know what to do about that. I really don't. Clear the chat. Let's try a different model, see if it does better. It's shit in the bed, as we say. I don't know what to do about that. So what I was going to say, though, is that when it was working, and it was working pretty well. Let me close this whole thing and I'll start it again. When it was working, it gave me these really neat capabilities that I felt were super useful. And this is where I'm going to tie it together with artifacts. So if I open this up again and I say, let's hope for the best. Okay, now it seems to be working. So what it's able to do, it has vision for HTML and CSS. It's taken a snapshot, or I don't know what it's doing. Not as good as Chrome Developer Tools, and definitely not as fast, because you can kind of see it's kind of taking a picture, then sending the picture to the laboratory to be analyzed and all this stuff. It'd be faster for me to just literally use the, CSS peeper. But all I'm trying to say is this is part of the way, in a different method, how I cracked the code on getting him to understand pixel perfect design, is that when they can actually see it through human eyes rather than through what they call a bash console, it gets more accurate. So while he's working on that, I'm going to open up another Claude here. And this is where the artifacts I think are going to be interesting. Making stuff that has dynamic JavaScript built in, or some Python, is where artifacts really shine. So for example, weird stuff like, I'm not going to do that, but like playing a game, right? Or life hacks. I don't know what these are. These are some other people's things. These are just like utilities. And they're really easy to make when you use an artifact. But the cool thing is, if any of them work out, you can turn them into WordPress plugins very quickly. Let's see what Slime Soccer is. I don't know. It looks like Pong. Okay. So the idea of like, I can have a video game that, I don't know how this works even, but I can have a video game. That's an interesting possibility, right? I can do things that I can then create, share, embed. I don't know that I would turn that into a WordPress plugin, but some of these other ones, definitely useful. We talked about creating video prompts, creating scene prompts, creating organizational tools, creating instant answer tools, creating email formatting tools. This is a way for me to say to folks, hey, here's how I could create a new artifact from something. I mean, I won't go into detail, but you can do an app for a website, a productivity tool, and start with somebody else's stuff and just edit it, right? And that's fun. That's easy. Create an artifact for me that lets me report on 5 things every morning, records it, and then allows me to share that in a report or to another LLM with an MCP connection. Number 1, how long did I sleep? Number 2, what time did I wake up? Number 3, did I take my morning vitamins? Number 4, did I do my morning exercise? Number 5, how many days was it since something specific happened? Okay, I could give it more instructions, but like something as easily as that, and again, using the help of my assistant or tools to make it easier, this can be started as an artifact and then given to, shared, saved, or whatever, right? So build it as a single page React app now, and then if we like it, we'll do something more with it. Okay, so it's asking me to confirm the plan, and I'm saying, yeah, let's do this. Really super stupid simple. This is vibe coding at its pure form. But because we're using this tool and it's connected to WordPress, if it came up with something good, all I need to do is now go to my Claude desktop and say, open this chat where I made this thing, turn this into a single file WordPress plugin. Ta-da, done. It does it. And that is the part that's really different than vibe coding with, wow, there's like 1,000 of them. I had a new one that came in this morning that I was actually at my dentist cleaning appointment. I made an application with a tool called Emergent. I was using Emergent to write an app to see whether it could write a single file WordPress plugin, which is the point. Okay, so watch. Now I've got the morning tracker. It's live. I can do a couple things. I can just say, screw it, download it as JavaScript, use it elsewhere. I could go to the code here and try to find some way to do React. I could publish it and therefore would turn it into something that I can embed, which, it still says like this is coming from Claude and all the rest, but screw it, it works. Or if I really like it, and by the way, I love the fact that I can try this because, I could say I slept 5.5 hours. I woke up at, 7:30. I took my vitamins, check. I did my exercise, check. 256 days, whatever, since surgery. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the event. Surgery, 256 days. Okay, save entry. Now this, hopefully, if it was working, would, be a report. I could say, turn this into a single file WordPress plugin, follow all of the things in your memory if you have my AutoMem enabled that make you put a full index at the top of all of the code, make the code logically organized, and keep this super lightweight in line with all of the Spence style. Now, he may not know about this stuff because he's not my desktop, but like normally when I tell him to engage the memory and do the rules, these are things I'm going to give you as a primer. He knows exactly how to make it. But either way, even in the browser version, he's going to make a WordPress thing. Notice he's looking for relevant chats, which is super cool. He is not engaged with my AutoMem, but he does know, look, he does remember my preferences and the things from before. So see, that's how I've been saving my bacon lately. And just for shits and giggles, I'm going to wait this one out, even though I didn't want to be on here for all day. I'm in for a penny. I'm in for a pound. So let's see if this works out. Sometimes these things don't work out well because he just sort of, disappoints me or something. But if it works out on the first try, cool. It'd be a fun experiment. And I'm also going to double check, make sure I don't have a call for another half hour. So it's saying get notified. That's a new feature. I didn't see that before. That you can just say, go take a nap or take a walk and be notified. I'm going to see what happens. So I could actually have him, do an on-screen notification. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know what's happening, but I do know that Sonnet 4.5 is very busy lately. It's stuck many times. So I would probably suggest you could get away with Sonnet 4. I've had really good luck with using that for just everything. That's what I wrote most of MinuteLaunch on. But you can't really switch mid-model. Sonnet 4.5 seems to get hung up because other people are using it or something. And as you can see, you kind of shit the bed here. So I would say if you did this as an experiment, I'm not going to sit around and do it. Switch to the model, reprompt it. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. So I'm not going to go into this because we already know what happens. He sat down at the Waffle House, and this one is a new model, so it didn't know what the last model did. I would have to copy that artifact. But that's where I see artifacts going, John. Instantly vibe coding experiments, seeing if they work. And if you can't use them as embeddables, turn them into plugins. It's a factory. Now, you don't need to use artifacts for that because I've also found that some of the things I just told it to do really make a difference in the code. When I start coding, I make it almost like a book. I don't want to reveal all of my code here because that's the whole point, but like I've come up with a style of coding these things that I will share the prompts so that your Claude can do it, that read like a really long, like a Greek scroll, Roman scroll from start to finish. And they do really well with that versus multi-file plugins. All right, I'm going to call Uncle because I have to eat lunch and get ready for these client calls. Hope that's a good update. A lot of cool stuff happening, but you're not going to have to search for it. Just look for it. Well, office hours tomorrow. Look for it in the MinuteLaunch plugin manager. And that's it. I hope you guys are enjoying and hope to start to see some results from you as well. Talk to you soon.